Hey y'all, Clay Westfall with Bushwhacker Bait Company, and I have question 3 for you, viewer question 3. Let me just take a peek here. Looks like he's saying, this guy wants to know how much time and how many casts, and if you don't get bites, do you move on or do you try another lure first? So I think basically what he's asking is like, what's the procedure for the amount of time that I spend on an area, and how do I approach it with respect to what lures I throw, etc. How many spots per day, what times I come and go. And so just to address that, I would say more often than not, I spend probably anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes on a spot. If I pull up to the spot and I just don't feel right about it, I'll leave. That's kind of a little vague, but it's a certain type of instinct that you get the more time you're on the water, and you can kind of get environmental cues. If it's like dead still and quiet and calm and you don't really see signs of life and it just seems kind of stagnant, I move. And like I said, it's just a kind of a feeling that you develop over time. I truly do believe we have that extra sense that kind of propels us to that next level in terms of hunting, that we're gifted with, and it's part of our genetics. So like I said, 5 to 15 minutes, it just depends on how I feel about the spot. I generally will do no more than 2 techniques on a spot, so I'll pull up, maybe fire out a Texas rig if I know that they're on the bottom, and kind of work the bait, and then maybe I'll pick up a crankbait and try it. But I'm always, like I said, limiting the amount of time. I don't want to spend too much time. Even if I know that there's a group of fish in the area, it's very easy to be stubborn and think, you know what, I'm going to force these fish into biting. A lot of times you can. If you just slow down to an extremely slow pace, you can draw more bites, but it's just not time efficient. And the way to really go about it is to capitalize on periods of activity. So like I'll come up and I'll fish that spot for 15 minutes or so. If nothing bites but I feel like there's fish there, I may come back an hour later and maybe hit it from a different angle. Or I'm looking at what the prevailing wind is doing and how it's blowing through the lake, and kind of visualizing in my mind, okay, the fish are face this direction. And when I talk about angles, like I'll cast into the wind and bring it towards them in a very natural way. The direction and the facing that they're primarily taking towards the open water. Things like that. So manipulating the angles and the time of day. Of course, there's some times a day when they're pulled off of the structure more. Maybe it's windy, or it's a lot of cloud cover and low visibility to where they're out hunting. Or conversely, it may be a situation in which they are more condensed under the cover and it's high sun, and they're just trying to maintain low light conditions and just kind of in a rest and digest type of disposition. So that would be the main thing. When I look at the map at nighttime, I'll sit down and generally pick about 10 different areas, and that will give me plenty of time. Even if I'm 15 minutes per area, there's time for tackle prep and driving the boat from spot to spot. I might stop and have a little bite to eat, but even that 10 spots I can turn into 30 spots, because I can come at 3 different times of the day, or I can throw a different lure combination and just see how the fish react. Maybe I know that, hey, it's going to be a little windier this afternoon, they're going to be more susceptible to like a moving type bait. I'll fire that crankbait out there, or maybe I just need to adjust. But I keep manipulating the combinations until I figure out what is the proper grouping. What's the right lure, what's the depth, what's the cover, and what time during the day. And then once I dial that in, I'll try to replicate that throughout the lake. Like, hey, this point had gravel on it, it was rockier, and it was out in 15 foot of water next to a 25-foot drop. And just being very aware, keeping an eye on if you see surface activity or not, if you see birds diving, and just trying to increase that awareness and really tap into your pre-programmed kind of logic and instinct. So hopefully that helps. Like I said, that's viewer question number 3. And come back for more information. I plan on putting some great videos out there and continue to do what I'm already doing. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Bushwhacker Bait Company.